Should be coming through at some point. Excellent. So yeah, I think we're live. Hi JR Music, if you're still there. I suspect people will just kind of usually on my streams people just kind of can't come in and out because I usually don't schedule them and they're all just ad hoc, and so we'll see if anyone. But it's me and you at the moment, Ned. So yeah, I'll say good evening to anyone that's watching. It's Alex here, Human Synthetics, with my good old dear friend, Mr. Ned Rush. And we're having a little impromptu Xmas do, aren't we? We're here in Ableton. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a slight orange, isn't it? The chair and. Yeah. Fear of the Frightened. How you doing? How's if hopefully our audio levels can't hear Ned Rush. Oh, it's okay. Okay, no, thank you. You can't. I can see what. Let me have a look at that. So yeah, we were as usual. Whenever we were doing these things, we were. Can you talk for me, please?
Hello, yes. Everyone.
Are people getting that now?
Can you hear me, Internet? Can you hear me? I'm speaking to you.
Ned is silent.
I'm speaking into the mic.
Hopefully, I can see we're monitoring out at the moment. Hopefully, our audio levels are okay. They're not too crazy. Do let us know if you can hear. Yay! Great. Okay.
Yes.
Good. So yeah, if anyone has any questions at any point about, hopefully, I think maybe there's some delay in the chat. But yeah, if you've got any production questions or whatever, we'll do our best to answer them. Yeah, we thought we hadn't. It's been probably. I don't. Can you remember when we did stream? Was that like?
I think it was like spring or something.
Was it? Yeah, something like that. And it was all a bit hectic, and I tried to lay out everything nicely in OBS, and it was just a bit of a mess. But I think now I gave myself some more time to set it up, and we've met in person since then as well. And
we have.
That was good fun, wasn't it? That was, you very kindly got me guest list to see Helena Rice in Bristol, and took us out for a curry as well. The perks of being a patron.
And Alan and Dan were there because Dan's a Bristol local, and Alan is often. It's just me, you, and Alan sometimes on Zoom chatting until the wee hours.
Yeah. We've had a lot of late Zoom calls. So yeah, but we thought it was about time that we did that again, and we've been saying it for ages that we should just get together and have a bit of a chat and maybe do some Ableton stuff. But we'll probably just talk tonight, and if there's any, hey Jarson, how are we doing? Stephen, yeah, this will just go out. It'll be on the internet forevermore after this, as long as neither of us says anything that we regret and decide to say it. Which doesn't, that's not going to happen.
I can pretty much always find at least one thing where I'm a little bit like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I could have done that differently. But like,
Yeah, but it is a Christmas do, isn't it? And that's the kind of thing that happens at a Christmas do, is that...
Yeah, we're going to be photocopying our genitals and,
There we go, that's the first thing you regret saying already.
trying to get off with Mary from accounts.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's Christmas. Well, at least in England.
Yeah.
That's what Christmas do's are like.
Did you have many good memories of Christmas do's in the past?
No, I've never been a Christmas do person. I've only had a couple of jobs. My last job, I was there for 9 years, and I never went to a single Christmas do because I couldn't really. I was like, no, because I know what I'll do. Just know what I'll do. I'll get drunk, and I'll think that I'll be being really funny, and I'm not. And then on Monday, someone will be like, that thing you said was really bad. And I'm going to be like, oh no.
I mean,
I can't remember.
I think this is the whole thing with Christmas do's, isn't it? And that's what always happens on Christmas do's. I had mine on Tuesday, and I think it was pretty tame by all accounts. But there have been past ones where I have woken up the next day and thought, there's something about the kind of changing the dynamic where you're used to being so professional, and suddenly that all can go out the window for a few hours. It just makes you overcompensate in the other way, the other direction.
Yeah, I like to keep the dynamics consistent in my social circles.
Yeah.
So if I have to be polite in one social circle, I need to keep it that way. And if I can be impolite in another one, then, So I've never heard of the term do used in the context before, so that's fun. Don't you have Christmas do's where you come from?
Yeah.
It's like a function. It's like a function, like a party. We're having a do.
I did think this when I was coming up with the title. Will people know what a do is? But yeah. Well, it's like a Christmas party, I guess you'd say.
A gathering.
A gathering, yeah.
A soiree.
Sometimes they're in the office. Sometimes you go out. I do like them when they happen in the office, but yeah, we're doing ours virtually. There is a meet up for your patrons next weekend, isn't there? But I can't be there for that.
Oh yeah, well that one's going to be in real life in Oxford.
Yeah, nice.
And then I'm going to do a virtual one tomorrow because we're not going to go and see Square Pusher now.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Postponed until April. So I'm gonna and I might do a quiz for that as well. I don't know what quiz I would do, but I am a frustrated quiz master. 100%.
I've been on the calls before, and the last one was where you just mashed up a load of songs and we had to kind of pick them apart. That was really hard, surprisingly difficult.
That was the Stadium Rock.
Yeah.
Onion. They were all like playing at the same time.
Yeah, there was like Nirvana and Journey, maybe. Don't know. Ace of Spades. I think I got Ace of Spades.
Something like that. And then when you get one right, I take it out. Remove it from the cacophonous row of Stadium Rock. I haven't got a punchy name for it yet, but you can only play that game so many times because you run out of Stadium Rock anthems. everyone just knows that I'm going to put Sweet Child of Mine in there, and so I'll have to move on to something else like soap opera TV themes or something.
Yeah, there was you were getting quite into TV themes, and was there a so we've been on for an hour or so before this started, and we were kind of catching up and talking about stuff we've been up to. And one of the things was Compress It Like an Idiot. It's kind of been your new flagship or your new podcast of sort, your new pubcast. And did you not cover TV themes on one of those this year?
Not yet. I've been talking about it a lot because that's so the reason why that came about was because I follow Animals and Synthesizers on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Animals and Synthesizers?
Yes, you turned me onto that, and I was highly impressed. And I love the timbre and of the kind of synths, the timbres that were there being kind of used, and had to look up the kind of the synths that they were using because I was so kind of like turned onto it. Yeah, but do carry on.
It's a wonderful little Instagram page of a man composing music to short videos of animals using synthesizers. The clue is in the name. However, it's just a beautiful thing, and it really kind of, I think, sort of is reminiscent of some of it sounds kind of like 1970s public broadcast information broadcast.
Yeah.
Like music, the kind I mean, the sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the mid 20th century library music,
Like Boards of Canada do sometimes, and
and like kind of like KPM records and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was following it, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's just brilliant. Like, and sometimes they're really funny and cutesy, and sometimes they're just beautiful, and it's all kind of I guess like stock, just like stock footage or something. And then one time he posted a story, and it was an answer to a question. The question was, where did you learn about synthesizers? And he said, oh, I just watched Ned Rush videos.
Like, yeah.
Oh my god, we have to get together, man. Let's get together. Like, I love this. I love what you're doing. And so I said to him, like, I'm doing this podcast now, and I really want to do an episode about 20th century library music, like film and TV music. And he was like, well, I do that for a living. That's what I do. So I was like, well, we've just got to do it. It's been put on the shelf for a bit because I kind of want to do a little bit more research into it so that I've kind of got some decent things to fall back on in the conversation. But another person I was asking is Alex Ball, if Alex Ball would come on.
Yeah.
You know Alex Ball?
Oh, I don't think I do. No.
He's another YouTuber. He does a lot of things with classic synths and stuff. Did I get his name right? Alex Ball? I wrote to him and I was like, I want to do a podcast about film and TV music, and I think he said he was quite up for it. So yeah, I kind of like, yeah. So Compress It Like an Idiot is a conversation piece that I kind of have been trying to get off the ground in 2022, and then I hope to do more in 2023 as well. Like a very long form. People get together and we just chat about kind of like what we're doing now, really.
Yeah. Because there's a lot, like particularly in music production stuff. There's a lot of like tutorial. There's a lot of how-to content, isn't there? And there's like, and they're definitely like Brian Funk's podcast style thing is maybe a different example of this, but the kind of long form podcast content about, for want of a better term, about like around the production process or around music, like, but with a like music production leaning. There's not loads and loads of it, or at least maybe I don't know about it, but I feel like it's more about, it's all tutorial driven and how to driven rather than the kind of holistic world of like creative electronic music. Perhaps I don't know what you think. You might know. You might say different, but
well, I would kind of like it to be kind of like enthusiastic rather than really pro.
Yeah.
When I started listening, when I sort of started listening to podcasts about 10 years ago, when I kind of got like, I think I got like an iPhone 3 or something, and I was like, oh yeah, podcasts, all right. I was even late for the party in 2010 or whatever. And I was like, oh, I wonder if there's ones about music production, and there were, but some of them were just a little bit kind of like, it was conversations with guys who have won like 12 Grammys. And I'm sort of like, this is nice, but this isn't very relatable. Like, I kind of just want to hear, like, I want to have those conversations, but with people who just do it for fun, or do it like, like they're not really, I mean, we're all kind of professionals in our own way, but like, we've also kind of got our own motivations for why we do this stuff. And I guess that was sort of something I wanted to get a bunch of us together to talk about, is just, motivations and processes, and sometimes the struggles, or just have a good laugh, just talking about things that we like, or and I think there's a little bit too much. There's some very good quality pro stuff out there, but I'm a little bit more kind of want it to be with normal people. The thing is, though, they're all not normal.
Yeah.
I'm slowly working out that they're all a little bit strange. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I think
so
there's not that that it's like there's I think the gaming world perhaps does stuff like that better. I think outside of music production does that stuff better, because there might be a tendency for everything to just be so polished and professional in the music sphere, and less of kind of, well, like that's always been your approach in a way, is the kind of is it kind of being enthusiastic and honest and not over edited and not over produced, in the video production side of things anyway.
Well, I am starting to edit a little bit more now than I used to, but for a long time I was just like, no one's going to watch this anyway. What's the point? And then people started watching it, and I was like, oh my god, like maybe I should take this more seriously and like, yeah, maybe edit. So I kind of edit my intros now. Yeah. I sort of have like a structure where I'm like, okay, do a good intro, then fuck about, then in the middle, talk about what you've just done, then fuck about, and then end it. So that's kind of my structure. And, so for those talky bits where I'm not doing anything and I am just sort of explaining something, nowadays I'm a little bit more kind of like, make it sound punchy, make it sound good, engaging. And then everything else is just, no, that's it. I'm just going to, just go with whatever happens, and no scripts or anything, but like, and that's we were talking about not putting your face on the internet. That's like another good reason not to put your face on the internet, because when you do those edits, you don't get that jump cut.
Yeah. Like audio's so seamless, you wouldn't know at all.
You wouldn't know that I've just edited down 15 minutes into three minutes.
Yeah. Because I think you did, like, because I've followed your stuff for so long and like seen all of it evolve. How you went from stuff like that, like you were saying, and then I think I started to notice when you were to the intros, you were doing a bit more, and you did one about for the make your own IDM sample pack or make your own live set or something, where you talked about a rave, like, I like a rave to be this, that, or the other, and a guy, people going a bit mad, and there's you look over to your left and there's a guy dancing around in a chicken suit. Do you remember doing?
Yeah.
And
those are the kind of raves I like, the silly ones.
Yeah. But like that was a more. I was noticing this kind of move into more scripted stuff there, and yeah, I think it totally works.
That was the pandemic. Probably I had more time.
I think it could have been. It could have been. God, I don't know. I mean, all of that seems like a kind of blur, really. But yeah, I'm kind of glad we're heading past it now. So I have made some notes. I'm just looking at the chat. I don't think we missed any big comments, but yeah, no, user-friendly sounds. We're just kind of we're not quite sure exactly the way we're going to go this evening, but we do have some touch points of topics. But if anyone wants us to answer any questions or whatever, or talk on anything, then do please leave it in the chat. So like one thing I immediately thought we were doing this, I was like, I'd like, how has your 2022 been, and what like have been your biggest creative, I don't know, realizations or discoveries perhaps, or like the year in review perhaps, like what, looking back, if there was kind of one overarching thing, be it like a creative thing you've discovered or something. I don't know. Maybe the question is just like, maybe it's enough to say creative realizations of 2022. What might that be for you?
Well,
don't know. So is this too serious?
No. I'm just I came unprepared, So
that's good.
I mean, so I guess one thing would be that this is, I guess, my second year of doing this full time. Whatever it is that I'm doing, that I still don't really know. I'm a YouTuber. My second year of doing that, which, up until that point came along, perhaps my way of thinking would be like, oh, wouldn't it be great to just do this full time? Wouldn't it be great to quit my job and like, and then I can really up everything. I can up my profile. I can upload more content. I'll be more productive. I'll be more slick with what I'm doing, and it'll all get better. And not really any of that's happened. I'm still doing pretty much nothing. So like, and it's actually sort of like how kind of quite hard it is to kind of stay, fresh with ideas to, generally the way that I approach it is that like, I should maybe try and get at least one video out a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Or just involve myself in something significant at least once a week. And there are people. I mean, you're doing it like what, every other day? Sometimes you're doing it every day. Like it's just completely different. And I'm just like, oh my god, I just couldn't do that. Like I couldn't stay fresh with ideas or. So I've certainly learned that like I'm not really as creatively active as I thought I might be when I was lusting after the dream of quitting the day job and being like, if I quit my day job and I do this full time, I'll make music every day. I'll be really prolific. No, I've worked out that actually I'm not. And like, so, and it's hard to come up with fresh ideas. So, and that may all change. So it definitely feels good to come to like the end of a second year of doing this full time and surviving. And the whole thing not collapsing really badly. It's still going. So, and so with that, and that's kind of why that's why I started thinking, oh no, what if I run out of ideas? What am I going to do? And that's when I started thinking, well, I need to reach out to the community a little bit more. I need to get to know my community a little bit more. We were saying earlier, like for a while, I didn't know who you were or what you're doing. You were just a name with a face on somewhere on some website, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And then when Sam said, oh, you should go and check him out. Like you'll get on really well, and he was right, and we did. So I was kind of like, I do kind of need to sort of maybe get to know some of these people a little bit more who are paying me all this money to do this. And just be a little bit more kind of like, let's all get together. So I started organizing the meetups, and then I wanted to do a podcast. After a handful of meetups, I was like, wow, we're all really interesting. Let's make a podcast, which I think is what everyone does when they think, let's make a podcast. We're so interesting. I guess, so 2022, I mean, even though in 2020 I was doing more Kicks and Friends, which is very community driven.
Yeah.
It was still only just me, really. But then when I started inviting other people into chat, I was like, oh, this is like kind of fun. So that's been a focal point, is making more community-based activities and content under my network, my media network. So, and I've been collaborating with people for all of this year. Me and Stephen, who does Safro, we've been working on stuff. It took us a little while to kind of find a structure. And now we've kind of got there, and so we're starting to finish things, and I'm quite excited about that. I was working on something this week. He liked it very much, so that's been good, working with other people's stuff. I'm sure there's more somewhere.
I mean, I felt like I have felt the same thing, like the network thing for sure, but like in reverse to what you were saying, kind of like like the same, reciprocated the same thing of like meeting people like you, and just kind of building more of a network locally, because Birmingham's got quite a good dance music scene, a good electronic music scene, like I think you can spend, like for what we do, you can spend so much time just in your bedroom or in your studio and not really reaching out to people, or feeling like perhaps you're not at the position or ready to do that. And sure, there's a kind of incubation period that's necessary, I think, if you want to make music or do that type of thing. But like there comes a point where like you need to have a network of people, and you need to start meeting people who do it. And like so I've really felt that kind of community net, and I think perhaps because of like the digital like outpouring of COVID, and just people being much more visible online all the time, like the world's become a smaller place, but like in the advantage is that you can make relationships with people all over the world quite easily, and I've really felt the power of network as well this year. More so than like any other creative thing. I think really it's just like I think I've kind of been at the point, and you might feel the same, like I feel musically like I've kind of been happy with where I am for a longer time than I've been putting it out there to people. I've been too scared to do it. I don't know if you found that with your musical output. your songs, your tracks, and that? What do you think?
I don't really get scared
Good.
about putting stuff out.
I do.
I sort of, I suppose I get a little bit, because when I'm like, if I'm working on stuff and I'm enthusiastic about it, I can sometimes not take very good care of myself. Like I don't eat, I don't sleep, and I drink too much because I'm excited, and I sometimes have to go, oh my god, like I've got to look after myself and maybe just drink water when I'm making music or stuff like this. But like, I'm a little bit like, no, I'm too excited. So there is always that. But like, I don't really get scared about sharing my stuff. I mean, if anything, I just think I just always think I just need to do better, and I need to just do something. Like, like next time, I just need to think like, maybe I should put like some money into getting this out there. Like maybe I need to invest in myself financially a bit more and getting the reach so that it does start to make a return. Because generally what I tend to do is I sort of just put something on the internet and go, please listen to this.
Yeah.
And then a few people do, and then I move on to the next thing. But like, I think maybe it might be because I'm not sort of hugely concerned about record deals or anything like that. I don't really see the point. Like I'm happy using YouTube and Bandcamp and just doing it all myself. But like at the same time, that I do sometimes think like maybe next time I put something out, I should chuck some money into it and actually tell people, outside of my network, outside of my community.
Yeah. Like put some money behind kind of marketing it and stuff. You mean?
Yeah, like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like a good, just gambling in myself and maybe a little bit, and because that's more scary, I think.
I mean, yeah, because like with your audience and your size of audience, you could probably do that completely on your own, couldn't you? Really, I think with your extended networks. I mean, I don't know, like. Just taking advantage of social media and YouTube and stuff and advertising on those.
Yeah, I think just with a little bit of if you're clever and you know what you're doing and you've got the capital, like why not? But I just think next time, the thing is, I would never think to do that without actually having something really decent. Like not doing it just to test the water. I would be like, this is really good and I want people to hear it, and I don't care if I have to ram it in their face. Oh, Dan Moore's there. Hi, Dan.
Oh, is he? Good. Yeah. Like how are our levels, people? Are they reasonably similar when Ned speaks and when I speak?
Unfortunately, my preamp isn't working, so I don't have my YouTube sound.
You sound good.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's yeah. Yeah, there was something I was going to like live gigs, because you just kind of made me think about like, yeah, you're like you played, like how's live gigging gone this year?
I've only done I've done 3, I think. I did one in Bristol very early in, I think, February, and that was like really good. It wasn't particularly big, but it was rammed.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and everyone was just really up for it, and I think just all a little bit off their faces, and I just love that, everyone was smiling and going, ah!
It's what this music your music needs that though, surely, like the having it stuff. You want
I could do a perfectly decent Strokey Beard set, but I want people to just get all sweaty and go, and,
yeah.
act like children.
yeah, you want people, like the best feeling is when people dance to your music, really, isn't it? I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? And when you get a room moving.
Yeah. And I got a really good recording of it as well, which I've got somewhere, but I haven't shared it around yet. Steve Casey's there as well. Hi, Steve. They're all showing up now.
Yeah, good. How we doing?
Crew.
Oh, good. I'm glad the sound's good. Yeah, I do have a slightly better microphone than I normally do. So I wanted to impress Ned, or make a nice Because
You don't need to impress me.
no, you always have such smooth, silky vocals on your. I can tell you're after the broadcast sound.
Yeah, well, when the mic preamp works, it sounds really good. I kind of want to be somewhere. I kind of want to be somewhere between Kenny Everett and Simon Mayo.
Yeah, they're nice, kind of like close.
Or like Keith Floyd, like the naughtiness of Kenny Everett or Keith Floyd, but then the soft chocolatiness of Simon Mayo.
Yeah,
that's that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
When the preamp works, it keeps packing in though.
Yeah, equipment's always a nightmare though, isn't it? Really. I mean, even for like a basic, simple streaming setup that I have, like that took so long to get that working, because if you're doing kind of any CPU intensive stuff in Ableton, or just as tracks get a bit bigger and you want to broadcast that from the same computer, like you need a pretty good machine to be able to do that. I mean, I don't. How did you find your Mac held up when you were streaming the other week with doing that? Was it fine?
Yeah, it was very good. But then I would hope so, because it's a maxed out M1 and it needs to be. And if it wasn't, I would be a little bit like, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I mean, I didn't have, when you start bringing in cameras and stuff, I don't really use a lot of cameras, but I imagine that really changes a lot of things. And then, good internet connection and all the stuff. But I was quite satisfied with the way it went. So that definitely gave me some enthusiasm to just do random live streams again.
Yeah, I think
in the future for no reason.
I'd love to see more of those. It's just great to see how people handle it, if you know what I mean. Because I think it's more revealing when you see how someone deals with when it's not going to plan.
Yeah.
Than when it's all working out for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like that was sort of the first piece of feedback I remember getting that was quite significant, was that, like, leave in the mistakes. And there's a lot of stuff out there that, even though that they're kind of doing it on the spot, there's probably a fair amount of preparation that's gone into it. They might have even already written the song.
Yeah.
And know what they're going to do. So not that that's misleading, but I think there's something quite nice about sort of having a moment to go, right, I've got a problem. What am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Like, I need to make a decision. I need to make decisions. And, I'm very curious about motivations and decisions. And that's probably really where it all comes from. And that's ultimately like what I end up talking about with people if I'm trying to give them advice or something. It's like, well, why do you want to do that? And what do you hope the outcome will be? And like, and so, yeah, I guess kind of like sharing that with someone in that kind of very personal way maybe is quite nice to people. I know that there's a lot of stuff I watch where I think it's very important to see. It's kind of like a debugging. It's kind of like a live debugging of something.
Yeah.
We're solving problems, and I think that's good. And I think those things, maybe people are a little bit too scared to put that in, because it's like, oh no, I don't know how to get out of this problem. So it's like, well, if you can't get out of the problem, why are you doing it?
Yeah. Like, I think this. I mean, it is all the creative process is really a series of like you've said before or talked about with some of the generative stuff. It's a series of decisions, and then if things and problem solving, really, like kind of marrying the two up. Perhaps the problem solving being that it's not quite conforming to your vision of what you thought it should be, and how are you gonna deal with that creatively? And I think that's really useful to people. That's more useful, certainly for me to see how someone gets themselves out of a corner that they've got themselves into, and when it's all going really well and that.
Yeah, very quickly something can really like shatter your confidence and be very disheartening when something's been going sort of so well, and then you're like, I swear 2 hours ago this sounded fucking sick. Now it sounds awful. Like, what did I do? What happened? What did I do? And I was actually going through something like this the other night when I was working on one of these tracks for Stephen, and I was like, well, everything else is kind of here, but I really just want to get these drums like really, like once I get these drums where I want them, I feel like everything is going to write itself after that, because I've just got that. That is just the energy. Like energy is and movement is like really important for me. Like if things don't feel like they're moving and they've got weight, then I'm just like, I'm not interested. So I have to get it there. And I was working and I was just doing all kinds of things. I was doing all this editing, trying to EQ it and just mix it and get it. And I was like, oh, this is starting to sound bad. What am I going to do? I can't even remember where I was earlier, where it sounded good. And then I made how do I get back? And then I just sort of had to persevere. And then eventually, I can't remember what I did. I think maybe all the drums were grouped and going through one compressor. So I ungrouped them and compressed them individually. And I was like, well, that's it. Like suddenly it sounds like better than it did when I thought it sounded good. So I've solved the problem. But, very quickly you can just go like, oh, why does it sound bad?
Yeah.
Why? And so... and that's sometimes like a tricky thing to solve and to show people how to solve.
Yeah, because like a lot of the time you don't always know, do you? It can be a bit of a gamble, kind of getting out of the situation you've got yourself into, and I think there's something about objectivity. You can quickly lose all objectivity the longer you're spending working on something. And like it can be really important to just get some distance from it, and I'm
not going to listen to that song I worked on this week for like another week.
Yeah.
Like I think I was maybe working on it for about 6 hours. My window is like 4 to 8 hours, and then I'm just like, this is too much. I need to. Sometimes that period might be months that I'll go back, But I do sort of pace I think pacing as well is quite important. But at the same time, if something isn't happening after a certain amount of time, then maybe you might need to go, is it going to happen ever?
Yeah,
that's another tricky one, So, and that's something that's kind of like could be quite fun about doing live streams in that way, is that like to sort of be able to go to people, you know what, I think this sounds awful, I'm going to bin it. Like that. It's quite a positive thing for people to see other people do, is to see this person has worked out that this is terrible.
Yeah.
They need to start again.
I mean, I think like sometimes the most valuable thing I do is the most valuable like streams are when it doesn't go well at all, like nothing works. I'll be trying to start something and I will just I'll feel genuinely scared of kind of judgment of everyone thinking it's crap, but then I don't really care. But I think that's more valuable for people to see when it all goes terrible and you just leave it there. You just say, well, that's this terrible idea, and I probably never do anything with it. But the main thing is that I had the idea, I did it.
Yeah.
I did the session. I sat at my desk and I did the session.
Yeah. Like you've got to have a lot of really bad ideas, like all the time, to have good ones. Like, it's sometimes you just cook something and it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even eat it because it's so bad.
Yeah.
So, like my jacket potato I made.
Yeah. We were talking about dinner earlier. Yeah.
I see Alan's joined.
Oh, has he? Good. Yeah, thanks. Keeping an eye on the chat. I've kind of got my notes here. How you doing, Alan? Yes.
We're going to do a meet-up tomorrow. We're going to play. We're going to play Guess the Year. We're going to play Guess the Year. The Christmas song came out.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, okay. Favorite Christmas song then. As we're on the topic, like favorite Christmas music.
That's a tough one because they are mostly awful.
Yeah, I mean,
bad.
it's kind of like this is the whole point of it. You know, you're exposed now, and you have to make a choice. What song?
I quite like the Frog Chorus by Paul McCartney because it reminds me of my childhood.
I don't.
Christmas.
I don't know if I think I would have encountered
It's the
that.
one that goes boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know that one?
No, I don't. I don't know if I
the
do.
The video
know.
was a cartoon.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing the video where it is frogs. It is frogs.
Frog Chorus.
Yeah, yeah. I'll check that
out. It's like a waltz.
Because I only know his you know, his other Christmas song. What was that? The Paul McCartney.
Simply having. With that like
yeah, like a synth or like a Juno or whatever it was. I don't know. Does anyone know what that was?
Synth nerds.
That's the kind of thing Dan might know. I think Dan might know what kind of synth that is.
I think it might have been a bit early for a Juno.
Maybe.
That was
in
the late 70s.
Was it?
Probably like a big old Moog, one of those big old 70s Moog, just to make it go bow, and then they put an echo on it, so it go bow, bow.
I do.
Who hasn't done Christmas music?
Who hasn't done Christmas music?
Who hasn't? Surely it's in everyone. It's in every mainstream artist's interest.
Yeah.
Oh, CS80.
CS80. Yeah. Okay. Nice. I don't. Yeah, because like even kind of artists that you self-respecting artists. I think has Johnny Cash done a Christmas song? He's probably done a Christmas. I don't know. But I think it's because it's like it's yearly income, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's yearly income.
Well, I think I read somewhere that like every member of Slade gets £250,000 a year, just flat out for it's Christmas.
Yeah.
They just get it, and they have done for like since the 80s or something. It's just there's no why they don't have to work.
I mean, like 5 years of that, that'd be fine for me. I'd give the rest to charity or something, you know. Yeah.
So it's absolutely in. Dan Moore says 70,000. Is that because of inflation?
Yeah. I mean, I was a chorister, and I do like choral music. I do like carols and that, and I do think there's some, I do like watching carols at King's and stuff on Christmas Day. So yeah,
a little bit of Silent Night.
Yeah. And like In the Bleak Midwinter is probably my favourite carol. I think it's got a lovely melody, really.
I don't know what my favourite Christmas song is.
You said the Frog Chorus.
I think, but that's sort of more like...
I want hardcore. I want like snow, sleigh bells,
That's kind of really like we could do. We could really kind of just do. Should we make a Christmas song right now? Like all we really need sleigh bells.
Well,
and we can put it over everything, anything, and it's Christmas. We just write songs about Christmas.
Well, you want kind of like I think the message has got to be, it's like normally it's a recurring theme is like love lost, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, I fucked it up and it's done. It's like reflection on the year, a bit like we're doing now.
Maybe I was thinking you could do a song that's like, Alexa, add the turkey to the list. Alexa, add Baileys to the list. Because that's what everyone's doing now, aren't they? They're just asking Alexa to give them Christmas.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have one.
No, I don't have one either. But like,
I don't like the thought.
I did.
Oh, E17. That is a
E17. Stay now.
Come on, that is a banger. That one, yeah.
It's not particularly Christmas. Is it Christmassy?
Yeah.
I know it came out at Christmas.
It's got tubular bells in it. Ding 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 ding, like bell, yeah, and they're playing it at the end in the video.
Oh, I think I like Walking in the Air. I've just remembered.
Yeah,
I like
very good, very good. Yes, I was singing that earlier on today. That's a nice, it's a nice piece. Like commonly, I think.
Who is it? Aled Jones.
It was. See, this was the thing. I was talking about this today. Aled Jones didn't sing in the film The Snowman. It was another chorister or another singer.
Oh, I did not know that.
I think he did. I think he did it. He did a version, but he didn't do the one in the actual film. Now I'm just gonna fact check this.
I'd actually be quite interested to have like a sort of cultural comparative conversation here with any Americans watching. Like if it's kind of as, because there's obviously a Mariah Carey.
I mean, that is a good. That's like, a good song. Yeah, it's a good song.
But it's kind of like, I wonder if Americans have a same fondness or not for. Like ultimately, when I think of Christmas songs, I think, "Oh my God, I'm in Sainsbury's, and you know, do they know it's Christmas?" And I've all the poor people who have probably heard it about 80 times. But then when I actually think of some, I'm like, there are some good ones though somewhere, and I just wonder if our American friends share that sentiment, or if Christmas songs in America are hated.
That's just made me think of Fairy Tale of New York, which is a pretty good one. That's and that's a but it's like just the city itself of New York rather than the band.
Yeah, so is that like a big hit in America?
I don't know. I don't think it is. It was just like purely the fact that it references the Big Apple.
Indeed, yeah.
But that's another really good one, and in 6/8 time as well. You know, compound time.
Americans have classics. Bing Crosby, Bing Crosby and Bowie. Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah, that's quite. Yeah.
70s. No, early. Was the low era Bowie? I think Bing Crosby was probably on his way out, and Bowie was kind of on his way in.
Yeah.
Bit of a smart move for both of them, really, if you think about
it. Well, he to connect that to the Snowman. He did an intro to the Snowman on BBC, did he not, or something?
I had the Snowman on VHS, and I would watch it and I'm going to watch it this year.
Oh yeah,
because it's Christmassy as fuck, basically.
I mean, I think it's kind of the perfect. I think it's almost like the perfect story, or the perfect kind of melancholic. There's something that's quite English about the Snowman. I don't know if you'd agree.
It's a bit of a ghost story. Yeah, it's a ghost story, which gives it a Dickens vibe.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, like the fact that he's gone at the end, like the loss. For a children's story, it's quite sad. I remember it made me so sad.
I was devastated. I think I must have been 7, and we watched it in school, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready to handle this emotionally. Because it's sad.
Yeah, it's and they just leave it there. They leave it hanging there. I
had an idea that once that I wanted to do a live soundtrack to all of the Snowman. Maybe with something like just one synthesizer and a reverb or something, or like one guitar and just like a very, very limited setup. But I would do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I never did, but then I can keep that on the shelf.
Yeah, I think there's.
Yeah, it's much the same here. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I was just looking at those as well. Yeah. Big Crosby. Elvis has done a lot of Christmas songs. I realised looking up some. I think it's like an interesting. It's an interesting chat. Like I like the idea of the challenge of having to write a Christmas song. If you know what I mean, and I like to be challenged when I'm writing music sometimes, and to do something I'm not comfortable with, and kind of to follow the the conventions of the genre and see how it would. It's nice to have restrictions when you're making music. Sometimes, and the Christmas song has kind of got its own rules and.
Yeah, I guess there's sort of I'm just trying to think where I'd even start. So I'm kind of thinking you could either go for the kind of the BT Christmas office party BT thing of like Slade, or something
Wham
along those lines. Wham's quite downbeat though. What?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's upbeat but sad. Like it's
about people and their conflicting relationships.
Yeah.
In a log cabin. Awkward. It's awkward as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we shouldn't have come on this Christmas holiday. Everyone's gonna fall out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd quite like to go for something like what you're talking about, like something just very sort of quite traditional and choral. That's kind of why I like the frog chorus.
Yeah.
It's sort of got like that.
Do you think you'd ever do any any singing on your music? Have you ever sung in bands or anything like that, or like had the urge to sing?
So as I mentioned earlier, next week I'm meeting up with my old band from college when we were like 18, 19. And I used to sing in that band, but not because I wanted to, just because there was no one else around really. So I was just like, all right, I'll do it. And I didn't really like it. Like I kind of liked it, but at the same time I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I just want to play guitar and, stand still like David Gilmour. I don't want all this attention.
Yeah.
And these tracks I'm doing with Stephen, he's singing on them, but sometimes I'm singing to him what I would like him to do. And I'm also kind of like thinking I want to put some in there, like hidden away. Like
yeah.
Got to listen out. Did you hear me singing there? Could you spot it? But otherwise, no, I'm not really a singer. I mean, I like singing in the car and stuff like that, but it's not my thing.
It always felt like I liked electronic music because it didn't have words. For instance, I know I'm not that all singing has to have words, but there's something about I've always liked the abstract nature of like electronic stuff, even without vocals. Like the fact that you can things are emotionally charged without explicit vocal kind of assistance to kind of help you feel what the melody and the harmony is suggesting. Like classical music, I suppose, but
Yeah, one thing I certainly have been doing a lot this year since I've been working on these tracks with Stephen is that I've actually sort of been like going back over old things and thinking like, what is the actual perfect song? Like, how does a perfect song work? And, so just sort of thinking in a critical way of like, and, there's a bit of nostalgia in there because like, the song-based stuff I listened to when I was maybe more of a teenager before I got into chopping beats and computers and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And then along the way, I've kind of like enjoyed some more song-based stuff. But now that I'm working on some tracks that are songs that have a narrative structure, I do sort of find myself kind of going like almost sort of obsessing on the slight minutiae of choices made with the language. So it's kind of like, what about actually just changing that to that and that sort of thing? But then also just kind of thinking like, what are the ingredients for a good song? Because and then I would start, going back through all things and thinking, this is actually a brilliant, just looking at something and going, this is a perfect song, like Caught by the Fuzz by Supergrass.
Yeah. Right.
I listen to it and I'm just like, this is just such a brilliantly well crafted piece of storytelling.
Yeah.
In this 3-minute song that's just like really aggressive and punky. It's like, this is the perfect, you got this like beginning, middle and end narrative structure and they're all mirrored, but they're all different. It's like it's really clever. So then I just start thinking things that I never really I haven't thought about for a long time because I don't write songs. I just write tracks, compositions, pieces of
yeah.
music, pieces of time. So working with someone who is thinking about those things has definitely been interesting, and kind of just given me lots of things to think about that I normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because I can get quite into it. I can start to think like, it's got to be like this, and I start to be a little bit like, no, we've got to have this here. We need this bit here. We need a bridge. We need a middle eight. We need a guitar solo. We need these things. It's a song. Songs have got to have these things, and it's like, well, do they? And so, I'm sure you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's again, to touch back on the Christmas, like the convention is sometimes like the most exciting thing to play with, really, isn't it? Because there's a form. And within it, for me at least, when you hear these things where there is a convention or whatever, that in itself is the potential to subvert it. If everyone's doing this thing, like, I think, and this is one thing I would say to anyone making music is like how you can, how you can view the conventions or like the way things are laid out, perhaps musically, and how you can look to kind of subvert things or meld elements from different musical worlds together. I've kind of lost my train of thought just saying that, but like, like how can you you can abstract music. It doesn't have to be, that it has like it ideas from outside of music can be brought in and can affect the kind of musical shape and everything, and it doesn't always have to be a literal translation of things. And yeah, I think when you do have a song structure and it's a set way of doing things, and like, it's got to have these things, how can I play with that? How can I play with that convention? And that for me is like the most fun thing about writing songs, if you like, where there might be a vocal or there might be some kind of like, there's a story, if you like, you know what I mean? And that is a kind of, I guess, there's more of that when you're working with someone like Stephen. There's perhaps more story, there's more of an emotional arc.
Yeah. And thinking about it as a story in a narrative way, I start to think about like story beats. So not like beats in the rhythmic sense, but beats in that kind of cinematic sense of like, something needs to happen here, and then that leads to this bit, and then that leads to this bit, and all this sort of stuff. And sometimes I can get like that sort of when I start to get a little bit kind of zooming in on the minutiae of something, because it might just be like I need some sort of, sometimes it's just as easy as like just taking the bass out at the end of 4 bars just to make a difference to the shape of the mix. Because I'm like, we've had this bit now for this long, we need to change it and we need to move on. So I like thinking about those types of things, and it's quite satisfying when you've got like something that's got a good vocal in it, like a catchy chorus, and just like something that's, that you can grab onto. And then I kind of like to sort of get that all in place and then kind of augment it, or like I call them like ornaments. Like you kind of just put things next to it to make it like more exciting,
like ear candy kind of. That's what I call stuff like that. Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, just like little sort of, just like some of my favorite tricks are like, like I'm a sucker for a reverse crash cymbal, just to suck everything into like a new set, like suck into the next section. And then, just add like real like movement and, just add some like physicality to it. That's when I start to have lots of fun. When the idea is there. So the idea obviously has to be there.
These things all like, I think people like, sometimes you can see people looking to deal with these things before the foundation and the really strong idea, the really strong like story is there. These things are the fun bit at the end, I always think, when you get to that point and you can start really digging into the ear candy and the ornamentation, as you call it. I'm just like, we've got the
they're like bells and whistles.
Like we've got the fellow passenger and John Paul Van Damme has just joined us as well. So,
Hi guys. Let's just get them on. Let's just get them on the Zoom.
the thing is, if they came into the Zoom, I would have.
You've got to rearrange the whole.
I mean, we could do that. Like, would you like to come and join us on the Zoom?
Do like a 3-act play. Plant some. I need my glasses.
See, Pope John Paul Van Damme says just working on some breakcore using take lanes, and that was what you did in your. I haven't watched that one yet. I need to watch that one. I was watching your live stream back most recently. That was the.
Yeah, at some point I'm going to do a MIDI version of that, like MIDI take lanes. Also. Good stuff. I'm just going to go and get another beer.
Yeah, cool.
Hold the fort.
I shall do. Yeah, I've yet to walk. I saw Fanu. I think anyone knows Fanu. He did something on take lanes actually, and I wonder if Duncan's thing was similar to that, where you could just like keep doing take after take of different stuff. Yeah, nice. The fellow passenger, do it like a 3-act play. Plant them in the first act, and then it'll come back at the end of the song. I always like that idea. You kind of introduce. I like the idea of things operating on like different time scales across a song. You might hear hear one idea, and then it comes back in. Kind of a foreshadowing. Yeah, I'll have to try that out. I think I'm going to do some more kind of like breakcore rack stuff tomorrow when I stream for 10 hours or however long I can go for. I'm not
10 hours.
Well, I'm not sure what I should do. Like whether I should try and write a completely finished track, which I thought might be quite interesting, and also post it on SoundCloud or something. Just so it's enshrined, or if I should try and. I think I'm going to do that actually, just like talking to you about it now. I think I'm actually going to try and write a piece of music completely.
I had like an idea for something that maybe we could try in the new year, a bunch of us.
Yeah.
But like where we're on, I don't know how it would work. I think everyone would need their own OBS. But we're on a Zoom call, but we're all separately streaming to our own channels. And we kind of have to work on something maybe kind of like individually, but we're all kind of there. So it's sort of like a kind of like a kind of pottery club or something.
I think, yeah.
Well, like we're all there and we're all streaming to YouTube what we're working on, but we're all kind of there in the call so we can sort of talk to each other and somehow, but each person's YouTube stream is what their version of whatever it is that they're working on. We're all kind of there together. That's something I'd like to try.
You could drip feed samples out to us, or like it could be like a bit like a creative obstacle course where you're like, okay, now you've got a half time the tempo, like a bit like I think we talked about this when we were first thinking about doing a stream together. Was like I could write a bit of something, then you would have to take over. And then you'd pass it back to me, and then that's kind of like people do that anyway. But like, some way that you could just almost be like the dungeon master, handing out stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, right now you're gonna transpose it. You're gonna.
Yeah, there could be like a few little bullet points in there of things to use if you get stuck, but. I kind of just thought it would be just a funny experiment.
Yeah,
like we're all streaming at the same time, but we're all kind of doing the same thing, but it's just online. So you kind of have to like, if you want to see what that person's doing, you got to go and watch their stream. And then you can also go and watch another stream, which is the same stream, but it's from a different point of view, from a different artist.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of something that exists that I'm sure kind of is like that. I'm sure there's like some sort of old 90s or 80s or 90s like game show that was. I suppose it's like Ready Steady Cook. I suppose it's like Bake Off. It's basically Bake Off.
Bake Off, but
that's what it is. I've worked it out.
Off, yeah.
But it's Break Off.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
The Great British Break Off.
Yeah, the Great British Break Off. Channel 4 are going to be coming after you, man, for that.
We'll get some breaks and we'll put them in a folder, and then each of us go away with those breaks and make something.
Now I know that they have they like the Bake Off is popular in America as well, as far as I know. I
believe so.
Yeah. Great British Break Off. Yeah.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. The Great British Break Off.
The fellow pastor gate. Yeah, games jams exist as different teams create video games. Okay. Streaming. Get the pattern in now. Yeah.
Yeah, so and then so if everyone's got like a kind of working setup, we can still be all on the Zoom chatting with each other. So if nothing happens, then we can just have a chat. But if someone suddenly gets inspired, they just sort of mute themselves from the chat,
yeah,
and then just go and stream, and we coordinate it so everyone's going live at the same time.
Yeah. I think like you could do like people could have their phones. They could be they could be zooming in on their phones and streaming from their other, like, for instance. I think there's probably many ways to slice and dice it. Maryberry Break Cover, yeah. You could.
Yeah, exactly. He gets it.
And what would you get? Like, what would it be the equivalent of a Hollywood handshake or a Prue pat?
I don't know.
A Ned nod.
You get a nod from me.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I nod. Yeah. The Hollywood handshake is quite coveted.
I'm not familiar with the Hollywood handshake.
So that if he really likes something, he gives him a handshake.
Is that the guy with the
the kind of silver fox, piercing blue eyes?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. He will give them a handshake, and that's quite respected. The Hollywood handshake.
All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do ready, steady, break.
Yeah.
Break call.
Ready, steady, break. Great British Break Off. Yeah. Great British Break. Ready, steady, break off. Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do it in the new year. We'll get people in.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a cool idea. Yeah.
I've always kind of thought that like there are lots of those sort of like cookery shows, and they're really, I think, like my mind's gone blank. Gordon Ramsay had one, or maybe it was just MasterChef. And like they've got to go and make like a souffle or something, and then they eat it and they go, oh, it's really good, or no, it's crap, when you're out, and all that sort of stuff. And I would just be like, why isn't there a version of this where you got to go make a track?
Yeah.
In the door of your choice, and then you got people there going, it sucks.
Yeah.
Or it's banging.
Yeah.
You've got maybe a little sort of needle in the background that's kind of swinging between banging and sucks or something. Sort of. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you don't want it to be all about drops, though, do you? You know, like I feel like everything nowadays is just about drops, like, which is great. I love a good drop, but like, and sorry, I didn't mean to say nowadays, but you know, the drop as kind of an archetype of music is just prevalent in everything you hear, really, isn't it? Kind of the big impact, even in stuff that's not necessarily dance floor oriented. There's kind of big emotional, impactful bass hitting drop.
I seem to remember like the last time I was sort of really paying attention to anything that was kind of popular. Like I was noticing, like, there's pop songs now, they don't have choruses, they just have instrumental drops. There's no chorus. It's a verse and then it drops, and then there's like a little catchy It's like, where's the chorus?
Yeah.
What's happened to the chorus, the humble chorus?
Old man yells at 90s warp electronica. Didn't you have seen someone put that on your on the live stream? That made me laugh.
What was that?
Old man yells at 90s warp electronica.
Oh, I said that, and I think some people got upset.
Yeah. Oh, did they? Oh, right, okay.
People don't like being told that stuff's old. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
like old music.
Yeah, and it's that was a heyday for the label, and since then, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Old man yells at the cloud.
Yeah, It's like that, isn't it? So we have got Ableton open here, but that was just as a backdrop in case people were wondering, because we didn't want to just it could have just been our faces. Should have had a Christmas scene or something over it.
Can you make like a Christmas tree with clips?
Shall I try and do that? I mean, this is. I feel like this is something that Andrew Huang is good at, doing this kind of thing. Have you seen his MIDI narwhale? That was quite funny. So I might have got.
I haven't. No.
I might have got rid of Ned by doing this, people. In case you're wondering.
That's all right. You go ahead.
I'd have to do it MIDI clips. What about films this year? We were talking about films, weren't we? And
films.
Favorite films of 2022.
Well, it's not technically 2022, but I saw it in 2022, and that was Spielberg's West Side Story.
You have raved a lot about that, saying
which I think is just brilliant. What other movies? God, I don't know. I don't think I really even watched. Was this year the year? Oh no, that was last year. Was the Bond? That was last year. I don't think I've really seen any movies.
So I saw Dune for the first time this year, but I don't think that was this year. Was it? Was that last year?
I think June was
2021.
21, yeah.
That absolutely blew me away. I thought the music and the sound design and stuff for that was fucking incredible, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw it at the cinema, and it was very loud.
Just that bit at the beginning,
heavy.
That fucking what sounds like Tibetan throat singing or something was just.
Isn't there like a bit? There's like someone going ah.
Yeah. Like that's right. And I thought this was a really good example of what you're talking about, like the story, just like this musical storytelling. And that, just like the choice of instruments and stuff, and kind of like really communicating. Just like the story was exceptional. Actually, I really liked it. This is looking a bit Christmas tree-ish. What do we think?
I think you need to maybe make them all a bit more narrow, don't you?
I think that's as narrow as I can go, isn't it? Or
you can go narrower than that. Select them all, and there you go.
I need to do like a trunk here. No, okay, I need to make it bigger.
Dune was absolutely Zimmer, correct?
Yeah,
100%.
Zimmer, and yeah, there's some good stuff where he's talking about like just that the instruments, you know, like I this is something I've got more and more into recently, is kind of looking for these, you know, looking for instruments and stuff that I guess world music, for want of a better term, you know, like just timbres and stuff outside of the normal musical lexicon, and there's some great examples of that. I just like the way he's kind of melded those with like more electronic stuff as well. How's that looking? That's looking reasonably.
It looks very good, but I tell you what you can do now is that you can select all of them and turn all their follow actions on so that they all go from one to another, and then you can make them twinkle.
This is a good idea. Yeah.
Christmas lights.
Why didn't we do this before? Why wasn't this so much? What? We've just been talking, man, about stuff.
Yeah, we should have been making incredibly lo-fi art with Ableton.
So I think on the 21st of this month, I'm going to do like a donk breakcore remix of 12 Days of Christmas.
Nice.
So if I just have these follow actions, any, and then will they play like that? Oh, okay. No, why didn't that work? Like one thing I wanted to ask you actually from a personal position was like, I remember you posting about the little clip in the corner here. Can you see that? You probably could. No. I need to like maybe if I share my screen.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yeah. There's the button that disables all the follow actions in the session. There's like a global disable follow action button.
Okay.
So the reason why I really should have followed this up, but the reason why that's interesting is because you can have a load of clips playing. You can kind of have like a clip lottery. This is sort of something I've always been quite interested in. What if you could just have like a kind of a fruit machine, like a one-armed bandit, where you just go like that, and it goes, and then gives you a thing, and then that's what you've got to work with. So the cool thing about that button is that you can have all of these clips in there, and they're all sort of just bouncing around. But then when you turn that off, they all stay on whatever one they were on when you turn that button off.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting, because like then you could just, you've got like some random clips playing and they're playing anything. And then whatever they land on when you press that button is like, it could be anything. It could be like a really good riff for something, or a good loop. It could be something that happened that you wouldn't have been able to come up with by yourself. So there's just lots of ideas in there. And then the very second I worked that out, I posted about it, and then never used it ever again.
Yeah, no, because like I remember you talking about it, and you were like, I think this has changed my life, kind of thing. And then I was like, great, that'd be good when he kind of follows that up. And there was just, and then that was it.
I never did. So, well, I mean, the thing is, I just need to, just get some loops. Actually, one thing I was thinking of doing in 2023 was deleting my entire sample library.
Yeah, cool.
Just having nothing.
Yeah.
Having absolutely nothing, and just being like, well, I need to make stuff now. I've got no kick drums. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to make some. That was sort of...
yeah, because I did that a few years back. I kind of upgraded my my RAM and stuff and everything, and it meant that I when the guy did it, he said, well, you might as well just kind of wipe everything, rather than keep it all and offload it and then put it back on. And it was very liberating, actually, to clear everything out and kind of start from scratch again.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like a Dropbox, and there's a folder in there that's like 100 gigabytes of stuff, and I probably use about 300 megabytes of samples in there. It's just like, why do I have all this stuff? It's really silly. And the thing is, I'm always kind of thinking, well, I might need it one day, but a couple of hours I could put time into just making a load of my own kick drums, and then when I need a kick drum, I know it's a kick drum I made, not something I pirated off BitTorrent in 2009.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm thinking about doing. Maybe I'll do it live on a stream. I'll delete my sample library.
I've done streams where I'm literally just going through samples and making them into racks and stuff like that. Things that are kind of just inherently probably pretty boring, but I also think it's kind of good to document that as well at times, to show people that there are boring times where sorry, I've changed.
I think your Christmas tree is looking pretty good.
It's looking pretty good. I've managed to just change that.
I think maybe a darker shade of green, maybe.
Sorry, everyone. It's kind of we've lost Ableton.
Oh no!
It's okay. We're back on. We're back on. I've sorted it.
It can't handle the Christmas tree.
A different shade of green. What, you think that's too much?
A slightly darker shade of green, I think. Like a British racing green. A very dark green, yeah.
Yeah, like the colour of the Flying Scotsman type thing. Was that colour?
Like holly. Holly,
okay. This is too garish a green. Okay.
It looks a little bit like it looks a bit Atari. needs a darker shade of green.
Okay. What are we saying? Like how's that for you? That's okay. So whenever I switch out of the window, it doesn't. Oops.
I'm getting it because I'm watching it on YouTube. I'm getting it like 30 seconds later.
Yeah, and it keeps. Sorry if I keep fucking the windows. Oh shit!
I've on Windows right now.
Yeah. So like, this computer is a Windows one. This is normally my streaming computer that I stream from the Mac into the Windows computer. So
how do you do the desktop sharing?
So I've got an HD60S capture card that the Mac goes into. So that's a bit like a gaming capture card, and it's just like a pretty nondescript little box, and it allows you to.
Elgato.
Yeah. And if I can show, it's if you want to, this is it, people. HD60S Plus, and there it is for you, Duncan.
So it's like a little HDMI interface.
Yeah, and it's very good, and it does audio too very well, seamlessly. And I monitor on a compute, like a curved monitor that I've got here. I've got my Mac here, and then I have my streaming laptop over there, because there's no way that my Mac could handle doing everything at once. And like, for most people, for the majority of people who don't have really powerful computers, that would be the way to do it, especially if you want to do video at the same time as well. Get yourself a capture card.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah. I have thought about doing a kind of video on it, because I'm sure there are plenty of people who want to stream music production, don't know how to do it, especially if they've not got a really high-spec laptop or high-spec computer.
Well, I used to manage fine on a 2012 iMac.
Yeah.
Although I maxed out the RAM in it. I think it had like 16 or 32 gig of RAM in it. That was perfectly decent. Had a terabyte SSD. That used to manage fine. If I had to do sort of very severe video stuff with it while streaming, it would crap out a bit. I think it kind of depends, and I think I think Ableton now, since it was reskinned in version 10, all the UI is running on the GPU anyway. I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it was all made vector.
Right, so because I don't think my Mac.
I don't know if I'm right.
My Mac doesn't have a GPU, so it's like pretty shit graphically. So but the thing is, I just know it really well, and like sonically, it's much better than the Windows machine. I think if I upgrade my setup, and this is something I wanted to mention to you, like talk to you about actually. If I did upgrade my setup, I might even just go to Windows, because you can get more bang for your buck for Windows.
Well, I was very, very nearly going to buy a Windows machine, just to do video editing and just to do graphics, real-time graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I use this one for mainly, that we're on now.
Yeah, and then the M1 came out, and everyone was saying that it can handle it, and it can. But I'm still quite interested in getting an eGPU. It's expensive, but I can keep expanding on it without really having to get a tower computer. So, and I think they can either go in on Thunderbolt 3 or HDMI, which this M1 I've got, it's got like all the kind of old school Mac I/O. So it's got an SD card slot, it's got a headphone output, it's got HDMI. I think it's got HDMI. Yeah, there's an HDMI output.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the old MacBooks from like 10 years ago. And yeah, you buy like a chassis, which is maybe 400 quid, and then whatever super awesome graphics card comes out, you just plonk it in, and I think you can put in like 4 or 5 of them.
God, that'd be sick.
Or two or 3, and then it just runs in on whatever you want to run it in on. That's what I've been thinking about. But I'm not really, like, for video editing, this is fine.
Yeah.
Like if on my old iMac, as powerful as it was, if I shot like a 25-minute YouTube video and exported it at like 1080p, it would take like 4 hours. Now it takes about Takes about 8 minutes.
Yeah, this one's really good for
Just
export. Yeah, it's really really great, and that's kind of why I use it for streaming, just because it's rock solid, and the Mac wouldn't. I did try it a few times when I very first started, but just couldn't hack it. So I was like, I'm gonna need a better setup. And I know, of course, a lot of like people, gaming streamers and stuff, they'll have separate machines for for doing streaming on like broadcast machines. So
yeah. It never really occurred to me to use multiple machines. I was just like, I'll just do it all on one machine, and this Mac will do it. But it's more for sort of like, for just doing like really crunchy graphics in Blender or Max MSP or something. I really want to do really good visuals.
yeah.
And it can do it, but they are still a little bit like, and I want to do it real time as well, because
Like do it live kind of thing. Do it live. Do you normally do that like when you perform live? Do you generate visuals as well?
I have done a couple of times. When I was doing a lot of modular shows, I would take a MacBook with me that had like a patch on it that was just picking up sound in the room.
Yeah.
And I would sometimes just have a couple of like keys on the keyboard that I could just switch to like a snapshot of that patch or something, which was fine. And you know, they looked okay, and they were so grungy that I think it didn't really matter. But I want to put really really good stuff on the internet now in 4K. I've got like lots of things that I want to, and like, you know, it's going to take me too long to learn another environment, and I'm so fast with Macs now. And so a lot of what I'm working on is generated in real time, but then I record it like to a file with like either OBS or Siphon or something. So you basically just send the output texture to a recorder that records the file.
Yeah.
And they do come out pretty good, but I do still have to work at like a very low amount of polygons and, you know, not too much processing if I want to go at like 60 frames a second, which I'm not even too sure if I don't, because I'm a bit old and I like 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
Because it looks a bit more cinematic.
It does, yeah. It's a bit smoother on the eye, isn't it? I certainly prefer it for visual stuff, for like camera stuff, over 60 FPS when things are they're almost a bit hyper real. Looks a bit strange to me, I would think.
Yeah, I was watching the trailer today for Jedi Survivor, which is the follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order, which is coming out in March. And I watched it in 4K on my TV, and I was just like, it's missing something. It's just a little bit too, it looks too nice. Like, it's like, is there maybe like sort of, has no one got any kind of like need to make a stylistic choice to make things just look a bit more grainy in games?
Mm-hmm.
Like make them look a bit more foggy and a bit more like, I don't play that many games, so I'm probably not the right person to have these, to voice these opinions, because I play like one game a year. But like I look at these new games that come out and I'm like, it just looks like an arcade game.
I think they do, like, they do. There are so many indie games now and stuff on Steam where I think there's much more stylistic choice goes into graphics, and they are a bit more interesting. But yeah, like for more mainstream stuff, I think it is just kind of hyper realization, isn't it? Hyper real environments, and
everyone wants the realism in the frame rate, and I'm a little bit like, oh, I kind of want a cinematic experience.
Yeah.
Escapism, you know.
Yeah, you want story and interesting gameplay, don't you? I don't play any games for it. Ableton's enough of a game for me, if you know what I mean. That's my kind of gaming.
Well, life is enough of a game for me.
What about next year then? What we anything exciting coming up? Want to talk about?
Well, I'm going to put these tracks out with Stephen.
Yeah,
and I'm there. Everyone's going to know about that. I'm going to tell everyone. So we're going to do that. I kind of want to I mean, yeah, I don't know, make some more music and try and do some more shows. And yeah, I want to just put some stuff out there that's just make more like audio visual pieces, you know.
Yeah.
You know, put this computer through its paces and do some stuff with that. Yeah, I don't know. Organize more group community orientated content for us all to get together and
because you were talking about like
maybe travel a bit more
and like yeah. Like what? Actually, leave your studio?
I leave my flat. I'll have to come up to I've come up to Brum.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of people who'd love to meet you here. Sure. Yeah. You should definitely do that. I mean, like we do. So there are a few nights here and some really good community nights and stuff, and like we have something called listening sessions here, which I'll talk about a lot, which is like a producer. There's the equivalent in London. I think it's called CDR. You know, you can take along a USB stick and just listen to stuff on a sound system, and it's kind of just everyone who does that is connected in some way to other nights or the DJs themselves and stuff. You know, you should come up and do a show or just hang out.
Yeah.
I
used to run something a bit like that. Myself, well, I was asked to do it like a kind of like open. It's sort of like an open mic, but it's more kind of like an open mic for like producers or DJs.
Yeah.
So it's like people can just sort of come along and like they can either, as you say, put a USB stick in the decks or plug their laptop into the DJ mixer and just sort of like play tracks just to see what it's like, or just to kind of practice. You know, they're thinking about, you know, trying to get into DJing and stuff. And I just used to sort of just turn up and curate that. This was going back a few years, but it was good laugh.
And you were talking about a lot of live More Kicks Than Friends.
I would really like to do a live More Kicks Than Friends, and I just don't know where or how. So
I think it's like it's the kind of thing that like would have to be a whole that would take over your life for a bit, sorting that out.
I think like it would be. There are some places that in London that I think where I could do it. I think maybe trying to make it a sort of live and a genuine live gig that's being streamed to the internet, like the Boiler Room, would be a little bit too much work and stress for me, I think. But the idea of maybe, you know, just hiring somewhere as kind of like a private function and then just kind of streaming it so that it's more actually like a television show, but we are actually a group of people in a space together and it's real. And it's not just me playing files that people have sent, like people have come down and it is a gig, but it's kind of like, you know, if like maybe we're not even using a PA or something, like people are just doing it in headphones. People are just there hanging out and talking. It's like, it's, you know, so that's a little, I can see that being a little bit more stressless. So, and I'm already thinking somewhere like Eclectic in Waterloo would probably do something like that. Or yeah, I don't know, or just someone's like Quirky Cafe or something. I don't know. Like, but I kind of thought it would be fun to do it somewhere like really remote. We were going to get you to text the voice message.
I'll still do that. I'll still gladly do that for you.
You got to phone up and listen to the voice message like 1989 and get directions to where it is, and then you arrive and it's in like some really quaint village hall somewhere in like the Cotswolds or something. That's like, and then it's just a bunch of guys there with modulars or something, and it's sort of like half really cool and half really underwhelming because it's not an illegal rave. It's just like a little private party.
That does sound. I mean, there's some. Yeah, that sounds quite romantic. It's just like it feels like it would be more of a gamble, if you know what I mean, for people to actually come. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I suppose probably what I would do is I would make it very private and I'd invite people.
Yeah.
And then I would make it very clear, like, you know, actually if you kind of it's not hard to just rent a little PA so that people can at least hear what's going on. So it's sort of somewhere between like a kind of meetup, but then people are doing performances, but actually the main focus is that looks and sounds good on the internet, and more in the actual space, people are just hanging out and talking and all this sort of stuff. And we do it like, it's more like an actual television show, like a proper, like a TV show, sort of like, you know, something a bit like TFI Friday in the 90s or something, just with less debauchery but you know, something along those lines. And then maybe we've got some sort of camera and I'm there, and then I'm like, right, we're going to go to this person here, and then we go to that person, and then the production like cuts whatever to that performance. So that's all real time and that's all happening. But because it's not an actual gig, then the stress of making it a seamless, smooth experience for an actual gig audience is out completely, because that's not what it is. It's just it's a live stream, but the actual performances are live this time. They're not just me triggering media in OBS and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I want to do. And then it's just a question of where and who can do it and who can get there and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Stuff, so.
It's a huge thing, kind of organising events, isn't it? And it requires.
Yeah, I've got a lot of experience doing it, albeit in like sort of very familiar venues where I had a good relationship, and like, you know, if it didn't do very well, they were like, oh, we don't care. So yeah, which is, and there's something sort of, I think there's something interesting about doing it somewhere a bit unusual. So like an interesting location or something like that.
Yeah, completely. The thing that you just need like good internet, I suppose, wouldn't you? If you're going to live stream it, that'd be the only on.
Yeah.
You know, because you could almost like rent somewhere in Wales or something in the middle of nowhere, but you know, you just couldn't broadcast it from there. You know.
Yeah, or like because we were talking about how we were all going to get together, and we were going to get together somewhere and all bring like like a load of stuff, and it would be like 3 things or something. So everyone had to bring like 2 or 3 instruments, and then we were just going to jam together and live stream it. And we came across like places like churches where you can go and camp in churches.
Yeah. I remember you
stuff like this.
saying about this. Yeah.
Old like military bases that have been like, I don't know, for whatever reasons have been sold or bought by other people that have now been turned into Airbnbs or something, so you can go and stay in like a you know, like a little kind of airport or something.
Yeah.
Underground bunkers, you know, stuff like that. So there's lots of ideas there, and I don't really think it would be particularly, I think all the people that would be involved have got more than enough within their means to make it pretty easy. You know, I've got cameras, I've got the internet, I've got computers, mixers and stuff like this. Like everyone's got bits that we can like scramble together and turn into a little broadcast studio.
I'm just making a star because Trismo Blue has joined and just suggested a star would be good. So
it does need a star.
It's a huge star that's almost as big as the tree, but like I could do it smaller, I suppose. I could do it better than this. I could do it better. So I could just do this. Like.
I always thought, why can't they do it so that you could extend the clip vertically and then it could give you like a little waveform of what's in the clip?
Yeah, someone else I've heard that commented on before. I think Multiplier. I don't know if he was a bit of a, I don't know if he's still going, but he did YouTube videos for a time and commented on the same thing. Let's get rid of the. We do this. Okay. Yeah, so you can't adjust this size, can you? Oops. If I make them too small.
But in the session view, you can obviously change the size of the tracks like horizontally, but not that way. I just think it would be so nice because like sometimes you need to see something and it's just really small. What if you could just make a clip like really big and wide and tall and have like the text in or even a waveform or something? But
Let's see if I can.
How about they never do that? No, the shirt does not match the chair at all. They're actually very different colours.
Who said that?
John Paul in blue in the chat. No, the shirt is red and the chair is orange. It's a terrible, terrible choice I've made.
See, this is. I was going to talk to you about like studio setups and like what you'd like to add to it, because like I just sit on an IKEA fold-up chair, and it is profoundly uncomfortable.
Well, I tell you one thing I have got which really changed a lot of things. It's this footrest.
Nice.
That goes right under. So my feet are like, my knees are actually really close to me.
Are they? Yeah.
So that really made a lot of difference, and then I can kind of like push back. Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. It's all right. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, like a part of me kind of feels like I enjoy things being a bit janky and hard work. You know, I don't like to be too comfortable. I like my music to feel like a bit of a...
Like it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you know, like...
I did that.
I think Ernest Hemingway or some writer would just write on top of their fridge. Like just like just writing pencil on a pad on top of their fridge. So I don't know if it was those. Oh.
Well, I mean, I sometimes like I'm half doing work here and I'm half doing work on my sofa with the laptop like on my lap.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm half watching television when I'm doing that. So generally when I am here, I am a little bit more determined and focused, and I don't procrastinate as much. Whereas when I'm working on the laptop on the sofa, I'm a little bit like sort of procrastinating, but I still get stuff done. But when I'm here, I'm really kind of like, it takes me like ages to get everything.
Yeah.
Like going on a long car journey. And I'm sort of like, and when I got this footrest, and I now have a cushion, I have a spare pillow here in the chair, and like I just have everything really bolt upright, but really spongy.
Yeah.
And then I could just sit for ages because, that really made a difference. This footrest is really good.
Do you find when you're shooting videos and that, like, does it take a long time to do? You ever sat there kind of getting fed up with it?
No, not really. They've definitely, you know, we talked a bit about this earlier. Like I sort of, maybe I do approach them slightly differently now. You know, I'll script them a tiny bit. I'll edit what I say a little bit more finely. But they are otherwise pretty much the same. And getting the Tascam like really made a lot of difference. And the preamp, when that works, definitely makes a hell of a lot of difference. So just to be able to kind of to be mixing everything externally, and then just sending like a stereo mix into the capture software.
Yeah.
Has made a huge amount of difference. But I can also do it all separately as well, which is what's really nice. So often what I do is I just send a stereo mix of Ableton and me into the computer with the screen capture. But if I want, I can have like separate tracks for all of them. So if I need to, do like a nice, like a better mix, but I've pretty much just kept it the same in terms of how I like to do it. I've just changed the way that I do it along the way. So yeah, I pretty much, it's just like recording to a stereo tape with a camera, or like a VHS, like a video camera.
Yeah.
And then when I edit it, it's just one file.
Yeah.
It's just the screen and the audio. So it's fast, which is good. And everything's just set up. I turn it on and I just go. So yeah. And
because you used to have the mic going into Ableton.
I used to do it all through Ableton, and then the same way as well. So the audio, the screen capture was capturing just the Ableton audio, but I'm in there as well.
Yes.
But sometimes I get latency, and when you get latency, you just can't talk.
Yeah.
So I would have to do it with like one ear off like that. so that I could hear what I was saying without it being delayed by like 10 milliseconds.
Yeah. So I did some videos for, or I've been doing videos for Isotonic for Darren for like the 12 weeks of Christmas, and I worked out how to kind of sidechain my audio in OBS so that when I was talking, it was ducking the Ableton audio, which I thought would be quite useful. But in doing so, you can hear me talking more. And because sometimes I've got loud music going, I end up sounding a bit like I'm deaf, So I sound like, I was like, God, what's going on with my voice? I sound like I sound fucking ridiculous. Like to the point where I was like, I can't use that. That's terrible, Like
Yeah.
So, but I don't like. I like these headphones are quite isolating as well. So I have to really like. I do think what it must sound like outside of my flat, because I'm probably in here like shouting, because I can't really hear myself. So I have to Brian Blessed it and project.
I watched Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, no, I was just
my mum and with my sister and my nephew.
Yeah,
it's just brilliant.
It is an excellent.
Still holds
film.
up.
Yes, indeed. The score to that is excellent as well.
Yeah, Michael
Kamen.
Kamen, yeah. He did a Bond movie as well.
Did he? Yeah.
Did License to Kill.
Now, did he not do? Did he not do the Metallica S&M? Was that not Michael Kamen as well?
I've no idea.
Yeah, they did like the symphonic album.
I think he did like another. There was like another Costner movie. Remember in like the late 80s, early 90s, Costner was just such a big deal.
Yeah, for like Waterworld. He
was just in everything.
Yeah,
Waterworld, The Bodyguard.
Yeah,
and what was that other one where he was like he was in the Navy or something? He was just in every movie all the time, and there was another one that Michael Kamen did that I remember being quite good. Anyway. I've never done the side chaining thing. I just like stop the transport.
Yes.
Like in Ableton if I need to talk. And so now I'm a little bit more like I'll just pull this fader down if I want to talk over it. But I kind of quite like to use the transport maybe because it can provide a little bit of comedic timing. Starting and stopping the music.
I think Nick Cuba 1956 has just joined us.
Hi, Nick.
And
we're going to have a meet-up tomorrow.
Yeah, I do need to get on some podcasts again as well. It's just been I've been absolutely flat out busy lately. Just with work and yeah, I've been absolutely flat out busy. The Postman, that was another one.
The Postman.
Yeah, that was like a post-apocalyptic one where he had to deliver a letter. Michael Caine. How about that? Michael Caine.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Costner.
Yeah, he was in The Postman. No, it's because Nick said when you say Michael Caine, I only hear my cocaine.
Oh. Oh, of course he did JFK as well.
Oh, that's a very good film. That is a very.
What was this one he did with?
He's good in that.
He was like the sailor. I think Costner's great.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of people criticize him.
This is English courage. Yeah.
I just think he was just a very watchable. I mean, we're talking very early 90s here.
I loved Waterworld, even though, like, as a kid, I loved it. But this is before JFK. He's excellent in that. That's such a good film.
No Way Out. That's what I'm thinking of. No Way Out. That's the one I'm thinking of that maybe had the soundtrack from Michael Kamen.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner. It's kind of like 90s. He's kind of a 90s housewife pinup, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's done something.
He was in some good stuff.
He was, and he's done some recent stuff on Paramount, hasn't he? Paramount streaming.
I thought he was good in. I liked him as Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel. I thought that was a good bit of casting.
I've not seen that.
I wouldn't bother.
Right.
But he was good in it. But yeah, I love The Untouchables. That's probably.
Oh, that's a great film. Yes, very good film, and Sean Connery's in that as well.
Sean Connery and Morricone doing the music.
Yes, and Robert De Niro as Al Capone.
Although I did watch it when Morricone died, and I was kind of like, I've seen The Untouchables like so many times, but I did watch it when Morricone died, and I was a little bit like, actually, this is quite badly edited. Like, if you actually watch it, it's kind of like it's hard to really sort of work out what the actual story is. It's just kind of like things happen and then they're somehow sort of edited together. But really, the actual arc of the whole story is a bit kind of like, what's going on here? Yeah. I don't know if that's on purpose, but I don't care because it's just so good.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose because ultimately the story wasn't it? They got him for tax evasion, and that's what happens in The Untouchables. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with a load of horrific violence.
Yeah. And a baby in a pram getting pushed down the steps and them saving it. Remember that scene?
Yeah, the baby in the pram, but it's not really a baby. It's kind of like a 4-year-old, which is sort of a bit weird. That's a bit too old to be in a pram, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, yes.
That's indeed a great sequence, though.
Yeah.
Maybe what we need to do is we need to get
Paul Van Damme. He's just sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, have a good one. Merry Christmas if we don't see you before.
See you later, mate. Thanks for all your great content.
Yes, absolutely.
All kicks over the.
Absolutely amazing stuff on there. There've been such good endings to the ones I've been involved with. Is that from Timperley Sunset? The blatant hat tip to Eisenstein. Is that from that film?
I'm not sure. I was going to suggest that what we need to do is we need to get all on Zoom and we need to have like a massive Costner off and like watch Untouchables, Prince of Thieves, and then I don't know, maybe Waterworld. I was staying at a hotel. I don't watch like normal television anymore, really. I pretty much just watch streaming and YouTube and that. But I was staying at a hotel and The Bodyguard was on, and I was like, I'm just going to watch The Bodyguard. And it's written, the screenplay is written by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. So
you know that?
No, sorry. Tell me that again. I got distracted by the chat. Yeah,
I'm fairly certain. I was watching The Bodyguard in a hotel, and I was like, oh, I'm going to watch The Bodyguard. This is going to be because this was what a naff film. But it wasn't really a naff film. It was just because of it. Like loads of movies in the 80s, people look back at it and think that they're naff because they had like really corny pop songs that were at the charts for like 52 weeks or something, and everyone just sort of remember, Bodyguard and four weddings and a funeral or whatever. But I'm fairly certain I was watching The Bodyguard and I was watching the opening credits and I saw that the screenplay was written by Lawrence Kasdan. Yes, written by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Empire Strikes Back. So I was like, maybe it might be good.
I've not seen it. Is it good?
I know. I fell asleep. I was staying in a hotel. I put it on just to fall asleep. But I was like, oh my God, Lawrence Kasdan wrote this. And I've just seen that Gary Kemp is in it as well. But maybe what we should do is get together and just watch some classic Costner.
Yeah. I mean, I think like Prince of Thieves was a kind of the first cinematic experience I remember as a child, and just being so kind of affected by it, and just I think it was the kind of first thing like that and Willow. I remember seeing Willow and feeling the same thing. You've seen Willow?
I've not seen Willow since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But now they've got a TV show out now, haven't they?
I just heard about that. Yeah.
So I could rewatch Willow after like 40 years, 35 years. But like I was watching Prince of Thieves the other day, and I was really struck by how, like, every time I watch it, I'm just like, it just gets better and better every time I watch it. Let's face it. And I was really struck by how brilliantly it's edited, and also how the music really complements like the editing.
Yes.
Like there are just like little bits where, and I think that they call it stings. I think they call it stings in the business.
Okay.
You do like a sting, which is the kind of like, that's a sonic or musical kind of thing that's happening with the edit to kind of emphasize something that's happening.
Yeah. Okay.
A sting, I think they call it. And I was watching it and I was just like, there's so much stuff. No one's talking, but you just get what's going on because of the way it's edited and the way that the music is just like, embellishing what's going on in people's faces and stuff like this. I was watching, I was just like, they just don't fucking do this in movies.
It's like one of my favorite, like, because there's the stuff with like the occult. There's the whole occult thing that's taken out of the kind of theatrical cut. I don't know if you've seen the extended cut where all of that's explored more.
Yeah, I've got the Blu-ray. So the Netflix, so we watched it on Netflix. The ones on Netflix is 2 hours and 22 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the director's cut then, because that's really long.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. That's the original. That's the theatrical version. So, and I think the director's cut I've got is maybe like 2 hours and 40 minutes, because there's loads of stuff that's cut out.
Yeah.
Including like the witch being his mum.
Yeah. And like he does occult rituals, and there's the Celts or whatever kind of, that you realise they're in cahoots more than is explained in film when they kind of have the battle scene in the forest, and there's a bit like the sting thing, whenever his mom appears, whenever the witch appears, that kind of, they've got this almost like glassy texture that they use. It's almost like the kind of glassy, and when Maid Marian is abducted. I won't try and hum it, but those are the kind of things that happen. And it also makes a musical reference to the Bryan Adams song. When, I may be blind, my lord, but there are
he fancies you, my lady.
Yeah, he fancies you. I may be blind, but there are some things I can still see. Yeah. It's Duncan.
All is well, it's Duncan.
Yeah. So good. But that makes a little nod to the Bryan Adams song as well.
Yeah, and there's all like the whole the whole hanging sequence.
Yeah,
the kid that gets hanged, and he's the first to get hanged.
Yeah.
It's just like so intense.
Yeah.
And it's all editing and music.
Yes.
It's all just cut, bit of music. Smack, he's being hanged.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's
the drum roll.
Yeah. And then you sort of just stop, dead silence. Like it's so good. Like I think it just deserves praise just for its editing and its score alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Did it win Oscars at the time? Did it win Best Film or something?
It was not praised critically, but it was a box office success.
Yeah,
like, the public loved it.
I really want to watch it. I haven't seen it for ages, and you're really making me want to watch it again now.
It's on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix. It's brilliant, and it's just so grotty as well. It's all really muddy, and everyone's just like really dirty, and it's just and I was really surprised at how much of it is actually shot in England. Even the waterfall. The waterfall is somewhere in Yorkshire.
Yeah. Was it not in Epping? Were bits of it not in Epping Forest? I think it was.
I think there's a couple of castles that were shot in France, but I think a lot of the location stuff is shot in England, which I was quite surprised about. And then a lot of the interior stuff is shot in Shepperton, which is in Surrey. London, Surrey.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's, even though it's Warner Brothers, I do sort of think of it as like being a very sort of quite quintessentially British movie.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's accurate, its historical accuracies are not that great. But
I mean, I don't think he existed, did he? Wasn't he legendary anyway, as a person? Yeah.
It's just great. And Alan Rickman.
Oh yes, he's so
very good in
excellent
it.
that. Yeah, he's. I mean, I'm resisting the urge for this to just be a quote fest now.
A quote fest for Prince of Thieves.
Yeah. I think. I mean, that could be the sort of thing that you do in the Great British Break Off. Just like suddenly, right? You've got to use these samples now. Just chuck.
I've got these samples from Prince of Thieves.
Yeah. Why a spoon?
Hospitality
cousin?
in this country is as warm as the
weather. Morgan Freeman as well is excellent in that.
Yeah. Everyone's just really
Everyone
good.
is on there. Absolute A game.
It's just a great movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think we're coming up to 2 hour mark, so we should. I think we'll probably wrap it up here. So
okay.
Cool. So that you and I can have a little bit of a break. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone that kind of tuned in. The chat was popping off.
Yeah, maybe they'd like to come to like some sort of Zoom after party.
Yeah, if anyone would like to. I mean, I probably.
If anyone's.
I am streaming. I am streaming tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and I don't want to track people from your thing. So, you'll meet up tomorrow as well. Is that just for patrons? It's just for patrons, isn't it? You do.
Yeah, that's just That's just the Patreon.
Become a patron, and then you can go to them. I'm streaming tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and I'm just going to go all day, I think, until the football in the evening, when I thought that no one would want to watch me streaming then. But yeah.
Cool. We were going to go and see Square Pusher, but it got postponed.
Yeah.
Suddenly. 3 or 4 days before.
Yeah. That's a shame. But I think it'll be for a better time and stuff. Got more time to prepare.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe we should do a live stream from your hotel on site before we go. Yeah,
I got a hotel at Covent Garden, which I think is just like 5 minutes walk from wherever it is.
Yeah, it's really close.
And I was talking to Helena Rice about it, and she said that she'd been to the venue, and she said that it's like actually 4 stories underground.
Yeah. It's a subterranean.
But it's like massive. Yeah. It's like a warehouse.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like old London thing. So
it's gonna be sick.
Should be pretty good.
Sick.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We're gonna wrap it up now. We'll probably do another one in 1 1/4 or something, maybe, or one whenever we can.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ned Rush, for joining me on my stream. And
thanks. I had a nice time.
Yes, and we'll all see you around, folks. Have a good Christmas. If you don't tune in again, or come and watch me tomorrow. Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.
Yes. God bless us, everyone.